Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. I'm going to start with another weather update just because it feels like everything that we do here on the farm is associated and tied to the weather. So there's really no avoiding it. There has been a couple of nice days and I've got a little bit of stuff done outside, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it has been such a wet week this week, pouring rain at night, like really heavy, and torrential during the day as well. Like you think it's just about to ease off and you'll try and get outside and do something, and then it just comes down again. The creek is flooded, the roads are covered in water. It is so muddy, and you just hear the squelching every time you walk. It is so wet. Um, I know you complain when there's no water, but at the moment it's just so much. So as I said, there were a couple of days where the rain wasn't quite so bad, and there was even some sun, and I was able to get out and do a few things here by the shed. I wanted to check all of the star pickets in the sheep second paddock that I made. I knew that when they first went in there with so much grass, they weren't going to be rubbing too much on the wire or on the actual star pickets because there was a lot of grass to eat. But they did rub up against them, and there was some pushing out. And I just wanted to go around and really hammer in each of those star pickets so that they were quite low, so that there's not as much push, and also to tighten up the wire in a couple of places. So I started in one corner and actually put a fresh post in at the corner to not put too much pressure on the original fence, so that they now sort of, there's two star pickets in the one spot, and I've connected them together. Then I was able to tighten up the wire along the edge closest to where the tanks and the trees we have planted out there are, and then I worked my way down. Well, I got to about the fifth star picket. I was using a big sledgehammer and trying to really bash them down really hard. And I must have lost concentration, or I don't know, was getting a little bit tired. And I put my hand on top of the star picket to hold it, and I smashed down with the sledgehammer and really hurt my hand. Luckily, I was wearing gloves. I took the glove off and there was blood everywhere. Sorry if you're a little bit squeamish, and I'll show you in a minute, so I'll warn you of a close-up. It really hurt, but I wasn't sure like how bad it was, so I put the glove back on and I finished hammering in that post. Then I went over to their house and got some first aid. So I put some betadine on it, put a couple of bandages, and iced it for a little while. And then I came back over and I finished doing the rest of the post because I really was quite motivated. The sun was out and I wanted to get that job finished. Um, but yeah, I did really whack my hand. So I'm going to try and show you a close up. So if you're a bit about things like that, maybe turn away and I'll let you know when it's safe to come back. So you can see it kind of got damaged in two spots. It's my right pointer finger. Um, and it is really quite bruised, which you can't see on the screen, but it's swelled up quite a bit. I've got a bruise down the side of my thumb down here, and yeah, there was these two quite bad cuts. Okay, it's safe now. So I for a few days I didn't even really look at it. I just kept those bandages on and hoped for the best. I was a little worried that they might need stitches and I think if I hadn't have had the gloves on, it probably would have done. And I didn't need tetanus because I had gloves on, but I've already had a tetanus injection, which probably needs updating soon. But so I was good on that front. The main thing was it just throbbed because I'd like smashed it really hard. So yeah, it made things a little bit awkward, but I got the job done out there. And then the rest of that day, I kind of took it reasonably easy. And then the next day, with my bandaged finger, I was able to still do a little bit of work outside. So fixed the gate that I found, the wooden framed gate, took the wire off it, added another bar of wood across just a little bit higher up, and then screwed that into the post. So now there is a proper gate installed in the sheep paddock run area so that they can't get from their original paddock into the shed grass area. I'm just tying it off with binder twine around the wood, and that seems to work. They're not pushing against it because there's no grass in that little run area at the moment. So there's no reason for them to try and get in there. If that changes, then I might have to try and get a better secure way of closing that gate. But for the time being, seems to be working perfectly fine. There is a lot going on here at Passion Flower at the moment. It feels quite busy, but busy in the fact that there is a lot of things coming up and I need to be really prepared for it. And part of that was then putting the calendar up on the wall last week. I kind of put everything on it and realized that there really isn't that much time between now and the end of the year, and there are quite a lot of events and things coming up. So I've got more stock classes at Unwind. I've got more tea time yarn retreat markets. I have just applied for the She's Crafty market, which is on the 29th of October, which is an in-person and an online market. So hopefully I get into that one. And there's also the big wool show in November. So there is a lot coming up, which means I need a lot of stock dyed and ready to go. So I'm going to have to get dyeing and get dyeing in a serious way. So I've got yarn soaking right now, and as soon as we're done here, I'm going to be doing some batches of my Wonka colorways. I'm going to do 3 colors today, but I'm going to do more of each color than I normally would. Normally I do 6 or so pots, and I do a different color in each, but today I'm just going to do 3 colors and really focusing on getting my stock levels up in those 3, and then continue to work on a big list that I have, because I want to get lots of full skeins. I also want to get lots of mini skein packs made up. So yeah, there's a lot of work to get done. This week I did start on getting my recipe cards done. So I've done my first batch of laminating of those. So I've got all of my recipe information there. So that's really exciting. So I'll be using those for the first time today as well, and being able to check off and keep that really neat and tidy, hopefully. Yeah, so that's going to be a really good process too, to be double checking my recipes as I go, from having transcribed them a couple of different times to make sure that they make sense to me and that they are really repeatable, because I think that's really important, to be able to make sure that every single time I do a colorway, it's going to come out as close as possible to how it is intended to come out. Today I am wearing my Radiate by Joji Locatelli. This is the first one I made, and I loved it so much that I've made a second one as well. This is a really great jumper. I won't be wearing it when I'm dyeing yarn because I don't want to ruin it, but I thought for sitting here recording with you, I would pop on something that was woolly before I got into my really dirty dye clothes. Well, since I had a smashed up finger, it has been a little difficult to knit this week. Thank goodness I have been able to knit. Luckily, the 2 cuts are not across the spot where the yarn sits when I sit it around my finger to like tension the yarn. But the way that I flick has made it's really quite sore, and because it's been swollen and bruised, that bit has been much harder. So I have been knitting quite slowly so as not to hurt my hand. Oh well, I have been able to do a little bit though. So I did finish my opal hearted socks. I finished them last night, so when my finger was feeling a little bit better. So apart from weaving in the ends, they are all done. I'm also really close to finishing my faded frenzy that's not the fade, and with my addition of the ribbing on the bottom to get that length that I needed. So it is at the point now where I think I need to put it onto a cable to see if it's actually long enough, so I can try it on. But I really like how it's looking. I think it doesn't look unintentional now. Oops. Uh, And once I block it and it's bound off, I think it will look really quite cute. I am liking the color, how the purple matches in with the purple that's in the original skein. I am having a little bit of an issue with this purple though. It is coming off on my hands when I knit. Now, I've looked on the Fiber Space website and they actually, in their frequently asked questions, talk about this. It's called crocking, and it is excess dye from saturated colors like a dark purple like this. So it requires more rinsing, and hopefully it is not unset dye, which it possibly could be. And as a hand dyer, I know how to take care of that. So I am going to decide what to do in terms of blocking, because I'm going to have to be careful that that purple doesn't run into the other colors. So what I might do, because I'm not sure that the ribbing is going to actually need blocking, so it might be when it comes to washing later on. I just need to really block around these sleeves. So I might just make the sleeves damp and then lay it all out, and not worry too much about the rest. But when I come to wash it, I'm going to have to, I think, put it into some warm water with some vinegar and not agitate, and just let it sit and hope that that will set any potentially unset dye, and then rinse it out really carefully. And when I hang it or move it, make sure that it all goes this way so that any excess color is going to run down and not back into this. So there could be a little bit of a challenge coming up. So be careful with dark saturated colors. If you see it coming out on your hands, really consider what you're going to do when you wash it, because you don't want to ruin your beautiful finished garment by having the color run through all of the other colors. It's okay if it's a solid color, but not if you've got like a white or a light color with something dark like this. So I've almost finished that. The next project I'm going to cast on will be with that new Queensland collection yarn that I bought last week at Unwind. I have found another short sleeve top pattern. It is mosaic on the top, which is a yoked mosaic pattern. I won't, by the numbers in the pattern for the yarn, I won't have quite enough to do it per pattern, but using the color from the yoke on the sleeve, cuffs, and the bottom, I think I'll have enough. I keep doing this to myself, keep stretching that yarn just a little bit too far. But so I should have that cast on next week, and I can show you then. That's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.